I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Joining me now is my Forbes colleague, money and politics reporter Kyle Mullins. Kyle, thanks so much for joining me once again.
Always great to be here, Brittany.
We have a theme in some of our conversations, and that is Donald Trump's cash troubles. Today is no different. Those troubles are in the neighborhood of millions of dollars. What do they look like now?
His cash troubles may not be as in the headlines anymore. He's gotten some reprieve from an appeals court, but they're still very much present, and he's going to have to deal with them sooner or later. So we're talking about cash troubles stemming from two different legal battles in New York. You've got his fraud case, where the New York Attorney General won a hundreds of millions of dollar judgment against him, and then you have, excuse me, a lawsuit or multiple lawsuits actually by E. Jean Carroll accusing Trump of defamation and sexual abuse. He lost those as well, lost those verdicts. All of it adds up to $540 million. In other words, more than $500 million of legal penalties that he is on the hook for as of right now. Now, he's appealing in all of these cases. He denies any wrongdoing. So we're going to see where it ends up. But that is the situation as of right now.
Something else we know about the former president, he got his start in real estate. He has a very impressive real estate portfolio, and you're reporting this. Two anonymous office buildings have provided Donald Trump with massive windfalls in the past. Here's why he shouldn't count on them for cash now. What are these buildings?
So when I talk about these two buildings, I'm talking about 1290 Avenue of the Americas, which is in Manhattan, and I'm talking about 555 California Street. That's in San Francisco. These are both big office skyscrapers, some of the largest buildings actually by square footage in his portfolio, and they're some of the most valuable buildings in his portfolio. He owns 30% of each. The other 70% is owned by publicly traded Vornado Realty Trust. And Trump is kind of in the back seat in this partnership. He has like I said, a minority partnership, only 30%, and he doesn't have much control over the operations of these buildings. Vornado manages pretty much everything, but he owns 30%. They've done very, very well in the past, pre-pandemic. These were, I think combined worth something like $900 million after debt. Now they're worth closer to about $400 million after debt. But they've done very, very well for him in the past. They're still a very large piece of his empire, despite, they don't have his name on them. They're much less famous than Trump Tower or Trump Las Vegas. But they're key financially for him.
The market for office spaces really took a plunge that we all saw in a post-pandemic world. And because these buildings are office spaces, because he doesn't control them, is that why you're reporting that he shouldn't count on them for money?
Yeah, in short, it's pretty tough to sell a building that you have tough to sell a minority partnership in a building, especially a building that is primarily office and retail space. The retail space has bounced back better than the office market has, but overall, the office market in New York and especially in San Francisco are just not doing very well. I talked to multiple experts who told me this is one of the worst cycles they've seen in a really long time. One San Francisco expert told me he's seen 4 or 5, business cycles in San Francisco, and this is the worst one he's ever seen. You have the rise of remote work that has taken people out of the office, so they're going into the office less. You've got all these tenants who are less interested in renting big, swanky office spaces and downtown office cores. So these buildings are still doing fine from a financial perspective. They don't have extremely high vacancy rates, but the rents that they're getting are lower than they were before the pandemic, and the overall, from a sale perspective, they're worth a lot less than they were before.